Hey guys, Matt with another Giant Conversation. I'm taking a little walk at a big granary, like an old big granary.
That's kind of funny because you say granary, we say granary.
Well, that's because I'm right and you're wrong. Is pretty much.
That's British.
That's the American in me.
American.
Hoorah! Anyways, we're on a bit of a touristy trip. We were invited over to Xi'an and Shanxi, and we're exploring the areas. And I just kind of was thinking about what Asian people find interesting and what Westerners find interesting.
Very different.
Very different. Like the enthusiasm for them to introduce an old granary to us exceeds the amount of enthusiasm I think you'd see in America. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm wrong, but I've been to a lot. I went to a brewery.
Uh-huh.
You know, like I was in Kentucky and I went to the Jim Beam Brewery.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
Man. I'd love to do that.
But that was like the act of distilling, and it was like all of these things going on. But China's got this history that goes back so far. They've got this secondary where it's like, we're not going to show you how the alcohol was made, but we'll show you how they used to do it 2,000 years ago. Because the building still exists, and my family's lineage or whatever, there's all these ties to the past that you don't really have in the West. I mean, what about the UK? You've got a lot of old stuff in the UK.
We have. I mean, the big thing about the UK history is castles and palaces and stuff like that. And that's my sort of thing. I love architectural history. I struggle to get on with sort of artifacts history. But yeah, I mean, we do push from a tourist point of view our history big. Come to England, come to Warwick Castle, visit Buckingham Palace, visit Windsor Castle. They're big things, and I guess that's because we are also quite an old civilization. Yeah. Whereas I guess that's a bit of a different thing for you Americans, because compared to China and the UK, you're relatively young. Yeah. Yeah. So you don't kind of have that history like we do, I guess. Do you see it as different in China than the UK? How would you compare? How would you compare it to is there differences more than similarities? Yeah, I think they're way more into the history here, and they're very, very proud of that. Even the younger people here. Whereas my feeling in the UK is it's a much smaller amount of people who are into that history. Interesting. So do you think that culture is being lost? I do, a bit? And it's like absolutely. Here it's not. Like we just saw a puppet show on the inside, and those people doing those, it was a very, very beautiful, intricate puppet show. And those people were pretty young. Yeah. And they've been doing that puppetry for 10 years. Yeah, we're losing, or we've lost a lot. Even like this morning we were at sort of a place where they were showing traditional crafts, and there's people still doing it. Yeah. You go to the UK, a lot of those crafts are not passed on. Yeah. We have issues where we can't restore buildings because we can't find the craftspeople to do the skills that are needed because it's been lost. Well, the argument to that would be, well, we do it better now. Technology is better now. But some things you can't do with technology. Something, you can't carve rocks with technology, but I do think there's a huge difference here. They're very, very proud of their history. Yeah. And their culture here. Yeah. And they do sort of preserve that. They spend a lot of effort to try and preserve that here, whereas I don't get that as much in the West. Yeah, it's a bit more. Although, the United States has the excuse that we're fairly a new... Yeah. I mean, we're a new society. We don't have that much. Obviously, the Native Americans, but we sure did a pretty good job of wiping them out. I'm not saying that as obviously it's been a horrible thing, but that was a bit the same with the Australians and the Aborigines. Sort of trample on the old and then build the new. And I hear people say, oh, everything here was destroyed during Mao's I made a video about that revolution, but that's just not true. This wasn't destroyed. There's huge amounts of ancient history and culture here that didn't get destroyed. I made that video and somebody brought up an interesting point. They're like, culture is more than just buildings, and that the culture in China is in people. Culture is the people, Yeah, absolutely. And that's very hard to destroy. Yeah, that's embedded in your DNA. For sure. So I mean, the amount of history you have here.